On this episode of the podcast, we're going over the video games that left a lasting impact on our lives. And feel free to share your own in the comments below and stay tuned to see what we talk about. Hello and welcome to the Nerdiest podcast, the show where nerds talk about nerdy things. I'm your host with the most, who's always sleep deprived, Mr. Nick Barrett, and today I am joined by Broseph LaCasque to talk about the video games that have impacted our lives. It's going to be a great episode. I honestly had a struggle putting this list together, and I'm happy with the ones I picked. I'm happy with what made it on the list, but it was definitely a lot more difficult than I thought. So very excited to do that. But before that, we're going to be talking about what video games we're playing. Just kind of chill. Like, what are you playing right now? What are we getting into? But then before that, as always, when we have new guests on, I want to give them the floor and give them an opportunity to introduce themselves to you and let them know who you are. So, Broseph, you have the floor. Welcome to the show.
Hello, and thank you for having me on, Nick. I am Broseph LaCasque, the Space Crusader VTuber guy on Twitch and YouTube. I stream a couple of times a week, and I very occasionally make videos, usually talking about either game, like storytelling or game design, or theorizing lore sometimes. Usually when it's Zelda when I theorize lore. I'm a big Zelda guy. Just recently came out with a new video theorizing what rupees actually are. If you think about what rupees are in the Zelda series, they're little gemstones in the grass. What's up with that? So that's the most recent thing I've uploaded video wise. Otherwise, I stream 3 times a week currently.
That's cool. That's cool. I love your model. Like, that's really sick. Like
thank you. I made it myself.
Crusader
actually.
aesthetic. That's awesome.
Yeah, I did all the art. I did all the rigging in like the free version of Live 2D. It's crazy what you can do for free.
Yeah.
I'm actually also working on an update for my model. I'm doing all the art for it. It's a slow process because I want it to be as articulate as possible, but I have the paid version of Live 2D funded, so I can have more points of articulation and more resolution I can have in there. Because I had to make this model a half model. I don't have legs.
Oh.
Because otherwise the the resolution wouldn't work. It would be a little blurry close up.
Gotcha. That's sick. That's cool. And yeah. I have seen your videos. I feel bad I haven't watched any of them, but I have, like, I'm subbed. I see them. I will get to them. It's one of those, like, you add it to the watch later, and then your watch later playlist grows to like 2,000 videos. And you're like, what did I even put in here? Like, so
what was I thinking at 3 a.m. when I put this up here?
Yeah, exactly.
What like, rabbit hole was I diving down?
I added a crazy one to my thing a couple weeks ago. It was like the connection between Sonic, Christianity, and autism, or something like that. Like, that's how those three things intersect.
Show up in my recommended, and I'm like, I don't have the time for that, and I'm not invested enough in Sonic.
Yeah.
But okay, man.
I was like, but just the title alone made me stop, and I was like, okay, we can watch later that. Maybe I'll come back to that one day. It was an eye-stopping title.
That's a good title. That's a good thumbnail. Somebody knows what they're doing on YouTube.
Yeah, somebody knows how to play the algorithm, and they got me to stop and watch. So kudos to you. So that said, what video games are we playing? We don't get to talk about video games a lot on the podcast because we usually cover movies and TV shows. So it's nice to kind of break it up a little bit. So as the guest, I will throw it to you first. What are you playing? Could be new, could be old. Just what are you getting into?
Yeah, well, currently the thing I'm streaming weekly on YouTube right now is I'm in the middle of Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. It's part of the long-running Prince of Persia series. It started out in like the 90s with like kind of a cinematic platformer almost. But then you had like on the GameCube there was like Sands of Time and that trilogy. But recently, like a couple years ago, Ubisoft put out The Lost Crown, which is like another reboot of the series, but it's more of a Metroidvania adventure action platformer style. And it is so fun. The combat is crunchy. The parry mechanic is satisfying. The navigation, it lets me explore on my own without cramming hints down my face, which is something I very much prefer in games of that style. So it's a very good one so far. The worst things about it are it's developed by Ubisoft,
That's fair.
And the main character's design has anachronistically modern hair, and I'm like, I don't like that hairstyle on you. It's a good hairstyle, it just doesn't fit BC mythical Persia.
Yeah.
Side shaven dreadlocks. I'm like, nah. I mean, there's skin options, but like those are the only two complaints I have about it so far.
That's good.
How about
That's
you?
good.
What are you working on?
Me, well, I recently, I think about a month ago. No, it was like 2 weeks ago. Finished Metroid Prime 4. I needed to. It was one of those like I started it, and then I kind of just let it sit for a while, and I was like, no, I need to finish it because if I don't come back to it, it's never gonna get done. So I just like took 2 weeks, hunkered down, finished that. It's the first Metroid Prime game I've finished. And honestly, I really enjoyed it, but I think some of the things I like about it are things that traditional Metroid Prime enjoyers don't like. Like I liked the other like the NPC characters from the Galactic Federation were there. I thought they were good additions. I like Miles as a character, but I can also understand where he does get a little annoying because there were some sections where I was just like riding the bike in the desert and I was trying to grind up.
Have you tried going to Ice Belt yet?
Yeah, literally. I was like, dude, I'm trying to grind out these little green crystal things. Just give me a second. I'll get there.
Samus, have you thought about going to Ice Belt yet?
I'm like, so it's definitely not as bad as I thought it was going to be because I'd heard people be like, oh, it sucks, it's awful, like it's the worst of the Metroid Prime games. And I'm like, I mean, it was fun. The gameplay was good.
Sometimes being the worst just means being the least best.
Yeah. Like, it doesn't even mean that it's a bad game. It's just like,
it is a great game. I will concede, like, graphically, visually, like,
oh my gosh, yes.
The game is so good. It makes me wish that the game world design felt like an actual Metroid game, and that they gave me an option to turn off hints.
Yeah. Even if you could just a toggle, just like, no, I don't.
Just a toggle.
I don't need the hints. Sometimes I found the hints helpful. Like, I think whatever system they have in the game that, like, can auto tell you, like, hey, if you're stuck, where do you go? Because there were a couple times it was helpful, but a majority of the time it was like, I'm just grinding and exploring the map and
give me this
going
big
through Soul Valley
desert to run around in, and I'm expected to grab X amount of green. I need to be this tall to get the memory fruit.
Yeah, you have to be this tall to leave the planet.
Right.
So I finished that. Thoroughly enjoyed that. I played all the way through Dispatch, which I played on Switch too. Yeah. And for everyone who was whining and crying about the censorship on Dispatch for Switch 2, being like, well, we can't turn it off. It's not it. I don't know. Just to me, as someone who's now played it on Switch 2, I think that was kind of a really big nothing burger. Like, the scenes it censored, yeah, okay. I was fine with it because I'm like, I don't need to see that.
Frankly, if I'm going to play that, I wouldn't mind a censored version.
But
can I have that as a toggle in like other versions?
It wasn't really intrusive enough for me to be like, this affected my experience. Like, eventually you learn to just like tune it out and like you just treat it like it's supposed to be there and it's not a problem. Otherwise, I thought it was fun. I usually don't go for those like choose your own adventure, like Telltale type games.
Yeah, I haven't done many of those types either.
I played it, I enjoyed it, and now that's done. And recently, what has been sucking up all of my time is Tomodachi Life Living the Dream.
I have seen you doing some Tomodachi posting.
I did. Got 20 hours in the first weekend. I was like, holy moly, dude. I'm so cooked. And I'm not even that far in. Because there's so much you can do with the island customization and the me customization and like the housing and like all of this different stuff. I haven't even scratched the surface of what I can do, and I'm already like 25, 26 hours in. And I'm like, dude, this is actually insane. So that's what's been sucking up all my time. I need to take a break and go back. I actually just got gifted Pragmata from a friend.
Oh yeah.
Because I had said on Twitter,
I'm like,
it looks good. I want to play it, but I don't have the money. So my friend was like, I got you, bro. Don't even worry about it. Like, so huge shout out to him. He's an avid watcher of the podcast. So probably will have started that. And then I want to finish Final Fantasy VII Remake.
I gotcha.
because Rebirth comes out on Switch 2 in June. So I'm like, okay, I need to finish it by then so that I can play Rebirth and then the eventual third one whenever that comes out. So that's what I've been playing. Trying to find a little more time to game because I don't usually get to, but I'm like, I just spent like $450 on a Switch 2, so I'm like, I should use it. Like, I should play games.
Make some use of it.
So yeah, that's me. That's what I've got in terms of games. Did you ever finish Metroid Prime 4? Because I saw that you streamed it, but I didn't know if you finished it.
I finished it in like 3 streams. I absolutely. It took over my channel when it came out. In fact, I interrupted. I was doing a marathon of the Prime series leading up to it, but I didn't finish Prime 3 in time. So I just kind of interrupted Prime 3 to play through Prime 4. And I came back to Prime 3, which had previously been my least favorite in the trilogy, and I'm like, oh, I treated you too harshly.
Perhaps I was a little too harsh.
Like everything everything that makes it my least favorite in the trilogy still stands, but at least, the last 2 planets felt like actual Metroid zones instead of linear lines that that game has rooms with more than 3 doorways.
Yeah.
Wow. Metroid Prime 4 would never.
Yeah, as much as I like Metroid Prime 4, and it does, like, I would consider playing more Metroid, because
I would recommend it. Massive
Metroid was part of my. I've talked about it on the show before, but like one of my things I want to do is I'm a self-proclaimed like Nintendo fan. You can see my massive stack of Switch games behind me. Like I love Nintendo, but there are so many franchises that I just haven't played games from. So I want to go through and play games in those franchises. So like Metroid was the first one. I haven't done Kirby, Pikmin, there's a couple other Fire Emblem. Like I want to go through and play those. So even if I like get to the end of it and I don't like it, I can say, well, at least I tried it. And at least I played it and gave it a shot. So I got to the end of Metroid Prime 4 and I was like, okay, I would play another Metroid game. But it did feel weird that like for a game or like a franchise that is so about space that we're just stuck on one planet. Like there is no interplanetary travel. Like
that's
nothing.
Prime 3 and Prime Hunters for you. The rest of the series does a lot to dive deep into a single planet and its ecosystem and its atmosphere and what's going on with it, what weird alien stuff is going on. And so that's one thing I like about the Metroid series is sure you get like the broad sweeping stuff. If you go like Mass Effect, right? You go from planet to planet and there's all these species and there's all this stuff. And you get like a little taste of this galaxy. Metroid, you dive into the deepest intimate crevices of the planet Zebes and SR-388, and you get to know the weird alien workings of each individual planet until you learn them and like master them and conquer them and like know them by like the back of your hand. Like that's what I like about the series. I like it when it's tight and dense versus broad and sprawling. Now, Metroid Prime 3, really cool planets, but like they're one biome per planet, whereas in Metroid Prime 1 or 2 or Super Metroid, you get like all these diverse biomes on one planet. And it's a different appeal than like a Star Wars, where you go to the desert planet or the ice planet. And I loved Star Wars. I'm a huge Star Wars fan too. Well, asterisk. Not everything Star Wars.
Yeah, no.
the good Star Wars.
Yeah.
So no, that's kind of my pitch for that concern, you know?
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. So, unless you have anything else you want to add on what you're playing or any miscellaneous stuff, I think we can get into
like I'm also currently on Twitch replaying through Twilight Princess on HD on the Wii, mostly to get footage so I can have B-roll in the background for future videos, but it's good to revisit that one occasionally. Like there's a couple of Zelda games where I should probably replay them more, or like Twilight Princess was one I had on the GameCube and I just haven't played the HD version. So far it's largely the same. Like, no major upgrades, but
some of those HD ones, like Twilight Princess and Wind Waker, really were just like, put the game in HD and stick it out. Like, call it a day.
Wind Waker added the Swift Sail. The Swift Sail
that's true.
is a huge addition for Wind Waker. Like, it also like made some changes to the Triforce quest at the end, and like did like so it like streamlined some of the rough edges. And I feel like for me, Twilight Princess is a good game, but it's not my favorite Zelda. And I feel like it has more rough edges that could have been a little more smoothed out, but there's only so much you can do without fundamentally overhauling the structure. You know?
Yeah. I played Twilight Princess for the first time last year, I think. I streamed the whole thing, so I have it all on like on VOD now. I don't hate it. I'll say that. No. It's not in like my top 5 Zelda games.
Me either. It's in my top 10.
That the Sky Temple is the one that like that like killed it for me. I was out. I was like, whole game up to that point, I was like, this is good. I'm really enjoying this. And then I got to the Sky Temple, and I was like, nope, this ain't it. Like I can't. I don't know. I don't remember what specifically it was, but I remember finishing that temple, and I was like, let me finish the game. I'm out. I'm done.
I think for me, the thing about the Sky Temple is every dungeon up to that point is so you can look at the map and intuit where things connect, and it's a lot easier to explore, and the rooms are individually memorable. But then you get to the Sky Temple, and it's a bunch of floating islands, and you get the double claw shot. Cool item. Love being able to Spider-Man around. But having such disconnected like paths around these floating isolated platforms really makes it hard to navigate and commit the space to memory that in the way that like some of the better dungeons you can like really lock in, you know?
Yeah.
I think that might be the thing that makes it one of the weaker ones for me. Good boss fight though.
Yeah, cool. I love the boss fight, but everything else about the
boss
dungeon,
fights in those games rocked actually. Twilight Princess has some really good boss fights.
Yeah, I love it's the one in the Sand Temple or the Desert Temple.
Oh yeah, I just finished him on stream actually.
Yeah. I don't remember what it's called. I just remember listening to the music and I was like, "Oh, that's like
that's
got
the Ocarina
parts
of Time boss
the
music."
Yeah, that's the Ocarina of Time mixed in there. That's so cool. But
Stall Lord.
Oh yes,
Stall Lord. That's what his name was.
Not
I was
Star
going to
Lord,
drive me
like
crazy if I didn't
Marvel
remember
one.
it.
Stall
Yeah,
Lord.
exactly. And Chris Pratt is being cast in the new Legend of Zelda movie as Stall Lord. Who?
Could you imagine if they were just like, all right, Chris, come
so
in the studio,
funny.
rattle a couple bones together, and then scream into the mic and call it a day.
Roar into the mic for me. More. Scream like you don't have a diaphragm, but like you're projecting anyway.
Yeah, that's real. So, before we get into the video games that impacted us, I want to tell you, the viewer, if you like what we do here, I highly encourage you to like, subscribe, share, do all of the things. That is the best way for the podcast to grow. If you are listening on the audio platforms, leave us a 5-star review. It helps push it out there and just get it to more people who would enjoy the show. And if you are on YouTube, you can join our YouTube memberships for a low price of $5 a month. And you get a special bonus episode delivered directly to you. The one we just did was talking about Disney and everything going on with Disney and their Infinity Vision and Avengers Doomsday and laying off people and all of this like weird stuff. So we had a really good conversation about that. You get a new episode every month, so I highly encourage you to go check that out. And of course, you can follow us and follow Broseph with all the links in the description. So that being said, the video games that impacted us. Everyone's got one. Everyone's got games. Because if you're a gamer, like there's definitely some game that's like stuck with you or has left a core memory. So I will pass it off to you. How would you like to start? Where do you want to start? You can kick us off.
Well, why not start at the beginning? What, like...
That's a good point.
Because, I mean, why not? Because, like, if you're still playing games today, there's got to be a good reason, right?
Yeah.
If you consider yourself a gamer, why do you identify that way, right? So no, honestly, my earliest gaming memories, this is kind of a 2-for-1, but like my cousins had a Super Nintendo before we owned a Super Nintendo. And we got a Super Nintendo like in the early 2000s. So it was all secondhand stuff. I'm not that old. I'm old, but I'm not that old. But no, my earliest gaming memories are Yoshi's Island and Donkey Kong Country. at my cousin's house. And both of those games are still really good. I love those games. Those are the kinds of like comfort games I play to like bring me joy. Like if I just want to chill and like do something calming, I'll play the most stressful levels in Donkey Kong Country. I think I kind of blame them for making me as masochistic of a gamer as I am. I don't know if I would like Dark Souls as much as I do if I hadn't beat Donkey Kong Country first.
Yeah, that's such a crazy link of like I love Dark Souls because I played Donkey Kong. Like, but there is like there is
those
something
games
to say
are hard.
for yeah, platformers. Which I'm
Like-
not saying platformers are easy now, but they're definitely like there was some serious skill involved back in the day, like with those older SNES games. Like you had to actually get your timing right and do all of that because they also didn't have as advanced controls and as precise controls as we do now.
And they're better than the NES or even some arcade games were for sure. But like, yeah, we modern games have really smoothed out the edges and made it very accessible. But like, no, Donkey Kong slaps you across the face and says, "No, get good." you're gonna react to these BS minecart placements and jump. But no. But also just other things about those games, like Donkey Kong Country is such unique art direction for the era, and the music, the compositions by David Wise are so gorgeous, so good. And same with Yoshi's Island. The art style is striking in a different way, and the music is great. Like that Super Nintendo, I think, has some peak gaming soundtracks. Frankly, like they set an atmosphere while also having a depth of character that just pure atmospheric chords don't do sometimes. Like, you can have a great atmospheric choir in the background, but, like, those games had, like, melodies that really hook into you and stick with you forever to the point where if you go to... There's, like, a upload of a half hour of Sticker Brush Symphony from Donkey Kong Country 2 where people will just, like, spill their guts and, like... talk about the hardships of life to like this weirdly soothing melody that played in the hardest canon level of the game.
Yeah.
So no. Weirdly, games like that have kind of shaped what I love about gameplay wise and like aesthetically. Like that kind of shaped my gamerness a bit.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. There's something so special about video game music. Which kind of carries into my first one, which is also the first game that I remember playing like way back. Gosh, I want to say 2007, 2008. Was New Super Mario Bros. Wii. So my uncle, which he wasn't even really my uncle yet because he hadn't married my aunt. So he was just like my aunt's boyfriend. Had a Wii and he brought his Wii over and hooked it up to the TV and like we all played Wii Sports as a family, so like there's that. But the one that really stuck to me was New Super Mario Bros. Wii. It was the first time I ever like really wanted to play a game because he always had like player 1 and he gave me player 2 and I sucked at the game. I was awful, like not very good, but it was just like the music and the level design and all of that like stuck with me. And every time I'd go over, I'd be like, can you pull up Mario? Can you pull up Mario? Like, and he'd pull it up and he would let me play. Like I said, it wasn't very good, so I never made it to the end. But even now, like I got a Wii U a couple years back and I went and got New Super Mario Bros. Wii because I was like, I want to play this game again. There's some profound impact of that was the first game I played and remember playing, and that's what kind of pulled me into the Nintendo ecosystem, but also just into video games in general. Because I grew up with grandparents who were like, video games are evil, video games are of the devil, like you're going to hell if you play video games. But then I played Mario and I was like, but this is fun, like this isn't anything great. Like I'm not playing GTA, like I'm playing the funny little plumber guy who gets a mushroom and grows bigger. Like, So
It's being Wahoo.
yeah, exactly. Like, so, and there's something to say, like, it's still my favorite 2D Mario game, and I feel like the ones subsequently after that were just trying to replicate, and I never felt like any of them hit that same, like, oh my gosh, I love this
They
game. This is
replicated
incredible.
without iterating.
Yes.
There's like, yeah.
Yeah, like New Super Mario Bros. 2, New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe, New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe, Switch Edition, whatever. They all kind of just didn't
Plus
really do
meet up
much.
at Bell Park, new funky mode.
Yeah. And then I did really enjoy Mario Wonder. I thought that one was good. It felt like it did
Hmm.
iterate and it did innovate a little bit. It still hasn't topped like Wii for me, and I'll die on the hill that it's my favorite, even though everyone's like, well, it sucks. It's not as good as blah 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 blah. And I'm like, I don't care. I love it, and that's all that matters.
And like it's there's something to that where people be like, "Oh, it's just nostalgia," and it's like, yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's kind of the point.
that, I mean, it worked clearly. And no, I've also played New Super Mario Bros. Wii, and that's just a good one, especially if you've got other people to play with. Like the multiplayer in that one, what sold it. Like I played a little bit of a cousin's copy of New Super Mario Bros. Original for the DS, but just having it on the TV, I have a lot of siblings actually, and so there was a lot of my early childhood is my parents didn't really buy it unless there was a 4-player option. um, so, but New Super Mario Bros. For Wii is a really great just multiplayer game that you can hand to anybody of any age or any gaming experience. It's a sideways Wiimote. It's a D-pad and 2 buttons,
Yep,
right?
very simple, very
And
straightforward.
And like,
And if you're not good, you're
part
getting chucked in the pit.
exactly. Or you could be nice, but why be nice? That's not fun.
Why be nice when I can throw you in lava? Like,
Exactly. But no, part of the nostalgia there is like the family member who handed you the Wii remote, right? Part of that is the multiplayer. It's the connection. It's the family, right? Which is always great.
yeah.
Yeah. Which kind of leads into my next point, honestly, because the next entry, if we're done talking about New Soup.
Yep, go for it.
Okay. The next ones I have are the Lego Star Wars games. 1 and 2, I had them for GameCube. They're so good, so fun. So no, I had Lego Star Wars 1 and 2 for GameCube, and those were just they're simple. They're co-op puzzle platformers, right? You select the right character to do the right action on the right button or whatever. Simple, straightforward, and it's Star Wars. And I could just hand that to a younger brother, a younger sister, didn't matter who, as long as they just wanted to sit on the couch with you and hang out. And one of my favorite bits is, you'd go into free play and replay a level, and they'd let you choose from the entire cast that you had unlocked. And in Lego Star Wars 2, if you had a save file from the first game, you can import all the prequel era characters to the sequel game, so it's great, or the original trilogy, I should say. So you could, play as General Grievous and, Boba Fett. And what were they doing on Hoth? I don't know. We could. It was great, and we would just make up scenarios for why is Princess Leia and Darth Vader on Dagobah? Can we? And it would just be we'd do voices, we'd do a little role play. It was like playing with the actual Legos, which I also had actual Lego Star Wars, which is probably why my parents got me this game. And it was just such a fun way to hang out and play with my siblings. And several years later, Lego Star Wars The Skywalker Saga comes out, right? And that's got all 6 of the good episodes plus 3 more. And we got and it's fun as a game single player, but the best part about it was bringing it home to my youngest brother, who is now 7, and getting to have that bonding experience of playing with him. That was one of his first video games he ever played, and he picked The Mandalorian because that was the show coming out when he was, very little. And so he could just run around on Tatooine and he could say, I want to be that guy because he looks cool. And he would learn how to use the buttons and learn how to run around and funny things would happen. So like, that kind of just playing with and having a connection with people is like, that's couch co-op, man. There's nothing that can beat it.
Yeah, no, that's so true. I think that's hitting at a very good point of like, so many gaming memories are linked to other people and like sharing that experience, because you can like you can watch movies with people and you can watch shows and you can listen to music and stuff, but playing games with someone is a very like intentional interactive experience where like you're both actively engaging with the media that you're consuming in that moment. Like it's not a passive like, oh, we're gonna sit here and watch a movie together like you do like when you're playing Lego Star Wars. Like at a certain point you have to work together of like, okay, I need you to go over there and grapple that one, I'm gonna go grapple this one, and then we gotta pull it at the same time. Like, so that's good. I think to segue into my next one, also has community involvement in it, is Mario Kart 7.
Nice.
Which is the first Mario Kart game I played, which I know says a lot about me. But
you already dated yourself when you said in 2007 your first game was Mario, New Super Mario Bros. Yeah. I already know how much of a baby you are.
Yeah, I didn't have a DS. I had a 3DS. The DS was like just slightly before I was old enough to have the responsibility to have my own like game, like handheld. But the 3DS that's my scene. That's whenever the 3DS gets brought up in conversation, I'm like, oh, that was my thing. So yeah, Mario Kart 7, I kind of know life for that game. I got really good at it. And honestly, it's the only reason I'm kind of good at Mario Kart now is because the control scheme of 7 with the circle pad and the bumpers and stuff is very similar to like playing Mario Kart 8 and Mario Kart World on Switch. Like it's still bumpers and a circle pad. Like, so, and it has honestly some of my favorite Mario Kart tracks. I think of like Music Park, Neo Bowser City, Rainbow Road, Airship Fortress was on there, but I know that's one that got brought from the DS. But I think the bigger thing, to kind of go into your point about like playing with other people, one of the bigger things I remember was me and all my church friends had 3DSs. So like we'd bring our 3DSs to church, and after the service, while the parents are talking, doing lunch or whatever, we'd be sitting in the little pew downstairs, like we're playing Mario Kart together. And like that's the kind of stuff I remember is going to, like, we went to baseball games with our parents and stuff, and we would sit there and play Mario Kart. Like, so just that connection of like, and that was back when we had download play, so you didn't even have to like, everyone didn't even have to own it. It was like, as long as you have a 3DS, we're good. And then I eventually did get Mario Kart DS because some of my friends only had a DS, and I was like, okay, I can do download play on the 3DS with Mario Kart DS, so we can all still like play together and have it be a good time. So Mario Kart 7, I love it. It's not like, I don't think it's like the best Mario Kart game, but I love it. And I think that's kind of going to be a recurring theme throughout my list, is not every game on here is what people would consider the best in its respective franchise. But for me, it's like, this is my favorite, or this is the first one I played, or, you know, it might be a little funky to have it on here, but here's my like life experience that went with that now like those two things are inexplicably linked. So Mario Kart 7 on my list. That's my next one. If you would like to go to your next one, unless you have anything you want to add about Mario Kart.
Well, I kind of want to just speak to that, because like we're not talking about what we think are the best games ever. This isn't about the games we think are the top 10 ever made. These are, you specifically said in the intro and in the description and what you sent me, these are the games that impacted us. It doesn't have to be a good game that impacted you, as long as it had that impact, right? It can be your favorite while still recognizing, yeah, it's probably not everyone's favorite, probably not what's the best, but I don't care. But I also wanted to like yes and with the whole Mario Kart thing, because honestly, one of the ones I had on my list that I was going to talk about, or could talk about, was again, grew up with Super Nintendo in the late in the early 2000s, and then skipped 64 and went straight to GameCube. So which is why I had Lego Star Wars, and we also got Mario Kart Double Dash, which is my Mario Kart game of choice. And one thing that I loved about it is even after I got so good at it, none of my siblings would want to race against me. I could still convince them to just mess around in some of the levels, and like you just run around the tracks and explore the weird corners. And there were parts of some levels where, like, if you're on Yoshi's Circuit and you look out in the distance, you can see Daisy Cruiser in the distance. Or if you're on Peach Beach, there's like this almost illusion of a connected world of these Mario Kart levels, which is why I am super jealous of the children who get to grow up with Mario Kart World as their first Mario Kart game. People are harshly criticizing the density of stuff in the open world and the missions and the track layout and stuff. But, like, you give a kid just this fun little world to Mario Kart drive around in, like, I want to do that with my kids someday. You know? If I have kids, I'm going to give them Mario Kart World, because that's, like, the imagination of a child can come up with an infinite number of adventures to have in that sandbox. So, no, so that was, like, Mario Kart's great, and I kind of wanted to touch on that because I had a Mario Kart written down too. But if we want to, so you want to take over with your next one, or should I just find a new one on my list that isn't related?
I'll do a 2-pack here because my next two are kind of short. I don't have a ton to say. Another 3DS game, which is another first. I kind of kept my first three like clumped together as firsts. So my first Zelda game was Ocarina of Time 3D on the 3DS. This was my introduction to like Zelda, which it's the first game I played, but I knew of Zelda because my uncle, same one who had the Wii, day one Skyward Sword, when it came out, he got like the gold Wii remote and everything with like the soundtrack and the whole 9 yards. So I had kind of watched him play that, and I tried to play it, and I didn't really care for it. I didn't have the mental capacity for it. Same for Twilight Princess. Like, I tried that, didn't have the mental capacity for it. But then one of my friends let me borrow Ocarina of Time on the 3DS, and I kind of got stuck at the beginning and then forced myself to finish it. Like, I went on, I took my mom's computer and I went on Google and I looked up the guide for it when I got stuck, and like forced myself to finish it. And at the end I was like, was that peak? Like, holy moly, that was a good game. Like, that was incredible. So it's one of the only Zelda games to this day, I think maybe sans Breath of the Wild, that I've replayed from start to finish. Every other Zelda game I've done start to finish once. But Ocarina of Time, I've gone back on 3DS multiple times and gone through and done that one again. And I'm really, as much as I love Ocarina of Time, it's in my top 3 Zelda games of all time. I really hope this rumor about an Ocarina of Time remake for Switch 2 is true, because I love that game to death. I love it. And I would love to see what the Zelda team could do with the modern hardware and just bringing that game forward to a new generation. Because I would love, kind of like you were saying about like giving Mario Kart World to a kid now, and that being their introduction to Mario Kart. Like, I would love to see this incredible game of Ocarina of Time handed to a kid nowadays of like, here's what this game looks like now with all of the modern technology, and like what you can, all of the different things you could do with that, and how amazing it would look. And also I kind of just want it for me because like I want to replay it. I can't be that selfless, sometimes it's just for me. But it is definitely a core memory of mine of like replaying Ocarina of Time and having to ask my uncle for help and be like, hey, you've played this. I don't know where to go in the water temple, man. I need you to help me out here. Like, I don't know what's going on. So just like doing that, and even though I never used the 3D, like that was not my thing. I just love playing games, and that was the one that kind of like pulled me into Zelda as a franchise. And now here I am, like I got my Zelda shirt. You can see some of my Zelda stuff in the background.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and don't worry, I will talk about Zelda more later. Um, but that was like kind of my kicker. And then the next one, which I don't have a ton to say, is Lego Star Wars 3. This is my favorite Lego
Yes.
game, and I will die on the hill of saying it may be one of the best ones. Either overall or even just out of the Star Wars ones. I know it just focuses on the Clone Wars, which kind of narrows it in and like eliminates all of the other movies. But my favorite part about this game was the expansive, like open battlefield where you can run around and like take over all these bases and spawn in more troops to go attack other bases. And like just being able to do that felt like such a crazy concept to me, because as a kid who like grew up playing with Legos, you can only you only have so many little clone trooper guys that you can feel like, oh, we're fighting like this massive battle. So then to get on the game and essentially be able to continue spawning in like limitless stormtroopers and be fighting like, you play as Anakin and slash down all these battle droids and stuff. Like that was such a fun experience to me. And I also love the Clone Wars. Like that was my show growing up. It's been said on the show so many times. It's my favorite show of all time. Like favorite piece of Star Wars media. Like, so even to just have that in game form was also really good. And I won't side tangent, but I almost didn't get this game because some car wash employee decided to steal my $20 bill out of my Lightning McQueen wallet the same day I was going to go to Toys R Us and get it. Now my mom fronted the money. She was like, "I know you had it, so I'll buy it for you anyway." But we never found out what happened to that guy. Like the money was just gone. I don't know who thought, yeah, let me dig through a Lightning McQueen wallet, but it is what it is. I'm like, okay, man, some people, you think the kid's not going to notice. I don't know, man. I think kids are a little more adept at locking in on the money than the adults are. Because like $20 to a 10-year-old, that's a lot of money. Like you might as well be a millionaire at that point. So yeah, those are my two: Ocarina of Time 3D and then Lego Star Wars 3.
Good choices. I didn't grow up with the Wii. We got a Wii after the fact, and I never got Lego Star Wars 3. I only just recently got it on like PC and played through it live on stream for the first time. And playing that one, having never played that one before, but like going into it as someone who grew up with Lego Star Wars games, it's like this is the game from it's like revisiting a game from my childhood for the first time, except there's an RTS in there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's incredible. I love that game.
Good choice. Also, Ocarina of Time is a very good Zelda game. I personally disagree largely with your with wanting a remake. I think honestly, all it needs to feel modern is right stick camera control. That's like the one thing really keeping the control scheme from from feeling modern. Because with just the targeting, it's N64 clunky, but honestly, I would love a modern Ocarina of Time, but I want that to be the next 3D Zelda. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, I get you.
But no, good choices. So kind of as long as we're getting our like early childhood, early gaming out of the way, kind of a more niche one is my parents had like a computer from the 90s in the house that, they got when it was new, and they got games on them when they were relatively new. And one series they have from like the late 80s and through the 90s is the King's Quest series by Sierra. These are like the forefathers of the point and click. Like Ken and Roberta Williams are like the people who were like the game designers behind it. And they really did a lot of innovating when it came to like adventure games, because like you go to Zork and it's all text, but then they make their like Mystery House and Wizard and the Princess games, and they like add graphics to the rooms that would just be described by a wall of text. They get the King's Quest, and they're these point and click adventures, and they're charming, they're whimsical, they're all like fairy tale-y, and those were games that my parents played. After a while, my dad didn't play games anymore, especially when they went 3D because he got motion sick. But like being very small and sitting in your dad's lap while he's like pointing and clicking around while the annoying owl is telling him where to go, it's like King's Quest V is my personal favorite, but like it has Cedric the Owl in it, who has an obnoxious voice, and he's the worst, and I love him. But no, that's just kind of that's just another series that like felt like there was a lot of magic to discover in the world, and it was great. So that's another series that like is an early core gaming memory.
Yeah, that's real. You know, my next one, a little niche game. I don't know if anybody's heard of it. Very niche, very under the radar, but also kind of like a quintessential childhood experience. Little known game, Minecraft. Don't know if anybody's heard of that one. Super niche, super indie.
That was like an indie from 2011, maybe?
Yeah, like nobody ever heard of it, never went anywhere, it never became anything. But no, I feel like Minecraft is one of those. I know so many people who played Minecraft, and I also know a handful of people who never did. Like, it's very interesting to see where Minecraft came from. Never let anyone tell you that indie games are irrelevant or not important or like nothing good comes from indies, because Minecraft was an indie game made by one guy and is now like the highest selling video game of all time, a massive multi-million-dollar franchise. It's crazy to look back where Minecraft started. But for me, I think about how this game just had like a chokehold on my life for like 5 years. Between playing Minecraft all the time, I was watching like all the Minecraft YouTubers. Like I had screen time limits and stuff on my devices, and I only had Minecraft Pocket Edition, and I had to scrape together like $2 cash, $3 in quarters, like $2 in nickels, like, and just dropped it on my mom's desk. And I was like, "Can I get Minecraft on the iPad? Like, I want to play Minecraft." And like having that, and then when my time limit was opened, like for the weekend, I would get up at like 2 a.m., put my phone up with like a Minecraft YouTuber on it, and then I would sit there and just like grind out my survival world from like 2 a.m. to 8 a.m., power nap from 8 to 9, and then I'm back in it at 10. Like, it's just such a like integral time to think about of my life, of like getting on and playing. And even like kind of similar to Mario Kart, we had post-church like LAN parties because we all had to be on the same Wi-Fi, but the church Wi-Fi was really janky, so like sometimes it didn't work, sometimes it did. And like but it's those memories that I think back on of like playing Minecraft with other people. And I think the most recent one, kind of the last time I really got into Minecraft was me and Jackson, other host of the show, we had met previously and then kind of like stopped talking for a while. I kind of just kept up on social media, and then I brought him on to do a couple podcast episodes in 2020. But then, and I think he's talking about this too, in the fall of 2020, we hit this stride of like every day at 3:00 we were jumping on Xbox, playing on our Minecraft survival world together. And it wasn't even about like the Minecraft world itself. It was just opening that door to facilitate conversations, like the conversations we had, the consistency in the schedule and the routine, and like everything he was going through at the time, because he was going through some really heavy stuff. I was going through some really heavy stuff. But like to just have that solace of like, from 3 to 6, we're going to play Minecraft. And it doesn't matter what's going on in the outside world. It doesn't matter of like COVID and the election and all this personal stuff. Like, push all of that to the side. We're going to sit here and play Minecraft for 3 hours. And like, so it's not like at that point, it's not even about the game. It's just about like, what is this game facilitating and becoming a medium for, of like, and because of that, we became really good friends. And here we are 6 years later, still podcasting, still great friends. Like, I was a groomsman at his wedding. Like, so, and that was in part because of Minecraft. So like, it's just crazy to think about like the impact one video game can have on someone's life. Even when you think like it's just it's just a silly game about placing blocks and building stuff. But like, yeah, but that takes time.
It's about the facilitating of the relationship, right? Yeah. It's the people that you play with. And that kind of actually, I was going to transition into a different indie game, but like on that theme of, games as a facilitating a relationship and having that like scheduled time to just hang out with the game as the medium. For the last couple of years, my younger brother and I have been working our way through the Ace Attorney series by Capcom.
Ooh.
So starting with, because I just picked up Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney trilogy on Steam, and I'm like, you know what, little bro, let's get together on Discord. You like to do voices. He's really good at voice impressions. You should hear it sometime. And we should just pick characters and work our way through this little murder mystery lawyer game. And I had heard the Ace Attorney series was good. I knew it had a fan base and a following, and I'd always been kind of curious about it, but it didn't quite seem like my thing. But he and I start working through the series, through this game, and it's so fun. The characters are so fun to like. We would look at them, and the character designs are so striking and vibrant that like we can imagine in our heads at the same time the exact kind of voice they would have, and then we'd do it, and we would also start like working back to get back and forth about the mystery. Like, oh, this piece of evidence, what do you think this has to do with anything? I don't know. Maybe it's tied to this. And so we would work together to like solve the mysteries and like do voices, and sometimes we would go off script and it would be hilarious, and we would create bits that still last to this day. And also just like it's a weekly call with my younger brother. I call him more than my mom. I have, it's facilitating that relationship and that shared experience, and we've worked our way through the original trilogy, through the two like prequel spin-off games about Phoenix Wright's ancestor who visited London and solved mysteries with Herlock Sholmes because of copyright. And now we're working our way through the second three. It's so good. These games are so good, and the pun names they give me energy. It's so good. But no, now we're working through our way through the last of the main series, Spirit of Justice and the Apollo Justice trilogy. And then we still have two spin-offs to go through, and it's great that Capcom's been making them all available to modern players, because I wouldn't have been able to collect them all on the original DS. I was this close to emulating some of them because they weren't available on modern consoles, and I needed to play them. But then the sequel trilogy came out, and it's like, oh, great, I could just play these legally. Thank you. I want to give you money because I believe these are worth it. So no. But I don't know. I know I would, like, if I'd played them by myself, I would respect them and appreciate them. But I wouldn't love them as much as I do if I wasn't playing through them with my younger brother. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. I like hearing that. Like that. I don't know. I feel like that just adds another level of like personality, and even like just like it makes you feel good about gaming, because I think there's so many different stories of like people talking about like, oh, video games are, they're killing your brain, and they're doing this, and they're bad for you, and they cause this and that, and blah 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 blah. So then it's just refreshing to hear, like, even like not just for myself but also from you, like these stories of like, well, I'm bonding with my siblings over this, or I like made a really good friend from this. Like, it's not just about the games themselves. Like, it really is like, what is this facilitating? Like, what is this, like, what kind of relationships are we fostering because of video games? So I think that's good. That's really cool. That you guys can like do voices. I mean,
the games,
I feel like that makes it more fun.
Can be really cool. The games themselves can also be really cool and be really impactful on their own.
Right.
But there is also this shared experience aspect to it that can also be very powerful and very, very cool. And that's why and thus far, both of us have listed games that have impacted us because the people impacted us.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Um, I got one more in like my middle category, and then my last three are kind of heavy. So that's why I clumped them together. But the last
Mm-hmm.
one in this middle section is, I think, the only Xbox game on here, um, which is crazy because it's not even like an Xbox first party game. It is the hit game from everyone's favorite studio, Electronic Arts. It's in the DLC, Star Wars Battlefront 2. Which I know
Aha.
that game had such a rough story on its own. Like that is a rough, like, how it launched, but where it ended, like, what a crazy comeback story. Um that, I could do a whole podcast episode on. But for me, this game, like, I had a community of friends on Xbox that we were all like, super into playing Battlefront 2, and we all, like, I remember we got the, whatever, is it Origin, I think, was their, like, EA exclusive, like, thing. And if you signed up for Origin for a month, you got, like, 3-day early access to Battlefront 2 before the early access from, like, the deluxe edition. So we all got that, and then proceeded to cancel our Origin subscriptions and get that refunded. So it was like a free trial beforehand. And, like, I just remember following all of the videos talking about, like, leading up to launch and all of the updates and all of this stuff. And then the game came out, and even though it was like a crazy mess of microtransactions and loot boxes and all this stuff, I still enjoyed it, and I still had fun with it. And I thought what the gameplay itself offered was really good. It was really fun. I enjoyed Battlefront 2015, and this just felt like a natural progression of that, adding in, like, the prequel stuff, and then they did, like, kind of get into the sequel stuff too, like, just what that game promised of being this almost like a complete saga type Battlefront game. I think was incredible, and I stuck with that game until the very end, like, until the very last update. I was there, and I still, like, I'm kind of sad now because my Xbox disk drive broke, so I can't even put the disc in anymore to play the game, which sucks. Because I put 500, 600 hours into that game. Like, I had all the skins, I had all the emotes, like, I had maxed everything out. Like, that was incredible. And I think it'll go down as my favorite Star Wars game, at least right now. They might make a new one in the future that I'm like, oh, that's incredible. That's my new favorite. But right now, Star Wars Battlefront 2, that's the one that I'm like, I would play that again. Like, if I ever get a new Xbox or a PlayStation or something, or, I don't know, on the very low chance that they port it to Switch 2, I would get it again and grind it out again and play it. Because I just had a ton of fun with it. So that's my last, like, middle section pick is Battlefront 2.
Very cool. I've never been much of a shooters guy. The only shooters I've ever like enjoyed are games that are shooters that do something very different, and I like them for the different things. But yeah, that also kind of like closes out my middle section. So like the next one I have lined up is kind of where, as I kind of went from being a kid to a teenager and like started to be like, why do I like playing games, right? Why do I still like playing games? Um, and this one kind of like made me realize, video games can actually be art. Video games can actually tell their stories in unique and impactful ways. Because like we were saying earlier with like how it engages the people when they're playing together. Like, even when you're playing a single player game, it can, if when done well, engage you and draw you into the story and have you experience the story directly happening to you, as opposed to watching it happen to somebody. Now, plenty of games still make you watch a story happen to somebody with like cutscenes between levels, but like, for me, I'm going to talk about Metroid Prime some more actually, because while I grew up with the first two, and the first two are still my favorite. I like the first one, and the second one second best. I'm actually going to talk about Metroid Prime 3 because that was the first one I played blind. I had seen my older brother play through the first two games in passing when I shouldn't have been because they're a rated T for teen, and I was not a teen, and so I had to go to my room and go to bed, but he couldn't see me through down the hall. But then I bought myself a copy of Metroid Prime 3, like, used, and started playing through it. Again, not my favorite in the series, but there's one moment that really, really stuck with me, like, oh, that's great. Because the plot of the first three Metroid Prime games is basically that there's a evil, sentient, like, eldritch space cancer that is infecting planets. And Samus also gets infected with this evil, sentient space cancer that her evil clone Dark Samus is made of. And so the government takes Samus and goes, you know what? Now, I know it looks bad, but guess what? We put the cancer in your gun. You can now shoot Phazon gun. And so you go through this game and you get, like, upgrades to your Phazon beam and your, like, hyper mode and stuff. But as you, like, absorb more, your, like, Phazon tumor grows. And so, like, it starts to, like, become more unpredictable. It starts to be like, oh, you can overload and just game over if you stay in Phazon mode for too long. And as you go through the game, because it's, like, first person and it's inside Samus's helmet, there are some, like, visors or some, like, occasions where you'll see, like, reflections of Samus's face in the visor. And in the later stages of the game, it subtly changes so that there's, like, infected, blue, like, distended veins, and her eye gets all cloudy, and it's weird and gross, but, like, it's happened subtly, like, incremental changes over the course of the game, so it took a while. But when I saw that for the first time, I'm pulling up the scan visor, and I see the distorted face looking back at me. I'm like, oh, this is not good for her. Oh, this is the cost of these are the stakes. That's the moment it sunk in more than any Federation guy on the radio, more than any cutscene. That moment of this is directly affecting the person behind the visor. That's, like, when it impacted me the most. I'm like, oh, games are a unique art form, man. Games are special.
Yeah, that's good.
So that's kind of my story.
Yeah, I like your angle of, like, video games being art, because I think I'm actually working on a video about this. It's technically more like why Christians need to appreciate art, but in a broader sense, I think we forget that art is not necessarily relegated just to, like, oh, I paint with stuff on a canvas, or I draw, or, like, it can be really anything that is an artistic expression, and video games are included in that. So I think that's a nice category to put it in. And I always like when games have those, like, subtle changes that you don't notice it immediately. You kind of have to look for it, because it does give that, like, intentionality behind it. And the last game I'll talk about does that a lot, and that's one of the reasons I like it. But I'll leave you guys in suspense for now. My first one to kind of bring out this like adult, like, phase of life category, and I think this one, the games that are in here are more, they kind of all ended up here at once, like within a, like, 6-month period. They all ended up here just because of what I was going through at the time and why I gravitated towards these games. The first one is kind of a 2-for-1. It's Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. I told you guys I'd talk about Zelda again. Breath of the Wild is the game that got me reinvigorated with Zelda, because for a while, to paraphrase, my 3DS that I had grew up with, like, all this stuff that I played, like, Ocarina of Time 3D on and all of that, got stolen. Like, I guess I left it in my grandparents' car, and then they took it to the dealership, and then someone just snatched it out of the car. So I'm like, I'm 0-2 for people taking my gaming related stuff out of the car. Like, I need to just stop leaving it in the car.
Don't leave things in cars, man.
So someone snatched that. So for a long time, for like 2 or 3 years, I just really went hardcore on the Xbox because that was the only game console I had. But then the Switch came out, Breath of the Wild came out, and I had already played Breath of the Wild like start to finish on my uncle's Wii U. And then when I got a Switch, the first game I got was Breath of the Wild. And I was like, well, you've already played it. And I'm like, yeah, I know I've already played it, but it wasn't my save. Like, it wasn't mine. So I just want to play through it again on my save. And what an incredible game. Like, I know the die-hard Zelda fans will be like, but it doesn't have traditional dungeons, and it doesn't have this, and it doesn't have that. I understand. I'm right there with you. Like, some of my other favorite Zelda games, Ocarina
I'm a
of Time,
die-hard Zelda fan, and it's in my top 5. So,
like, yeah, like, it's a good game, but also, like, I love Skyward Sword. Like, that's up there, too. Like, I get it. I understand that want for those traditional, like, dungeons and stuff, and I think Tears of the Kingdom kind of is a step in the right direction. Like, it's not perfect, but it is a step back in the right direction.
Not perfect, but
yeah, it's like we're getting there. You know, maybe the next one after that will have figured out this whole open air while also having like very linear dungeons. But Breath of the Wild.
Have you ever played Echoes of Wisdom? Because I feel like that one does a good job.
No, but I do have it, and I want to play it. I got it for Christmas, I think, 2024.
I think that one has like the perfect middle ground between having an open air, open world and having a linear sequence of dungeons that some of them can be done out of order, but they're more traditional. It's not perfect. The mechanics make some of the puzzles very cheesable, and that is less satisfying than both Breath of the Wild openness or classic Ocarina of Time linearity in the dungeons. But like, I want that to be used as the base. So you should play Echoes of Wisdom. Good stuff.
Okay. That's good to know. I've heard good things about it. And I do have it. It's just one of those, like, I have it, and I just haven't gotten around to it. But Tears of the Kingdom, I think, is the one out of these two that's a little more impactful, just because the launch window going up to that was I just graduated college, and I had moved back home. I was readjusting to, like, life without my college friends and not, like, really being plugged in at church, so it's kind of, like, just me. So to have something to focus on and look forward to, like, in a very difficult season, was very helpful. And then, like, I hyped that game to the moon and back, and then played it and beat it in like 2 weeks. I beat the story in 2 weeks. Obviously, it's kind of difficult to like beat an open world game like that. But I completed the main objective in 2 weeks, and it is now my favorite Zelda game and my favorite game of all time, because I love what they did with the story and how they upgraded the gameplay and the music. Oh my gosh, I love the music. I know some people say the music in those games is kind of weak compared to other Zelda games, and I get it, but there are some really killer soundtracks in there. Like, some of them just hit just the right way, and I'm like, that's it. That's good. That's it. Mm-hmm. So Breath of the Wild was previously my favorite game of all time, and I always said, like, well, the only thing that could beat Breath of the Wild is more Breath of the Wild, and that's kind of what Tears of the Kingdom was. It was Breath of the Wild 2.0 plus more. So, and Tears of the Kingdom is also the only time I've ever gotten to do a midnight launch for a game. So I got to go to GameStop and do like the midnight launch, stand in line with all these other Zelda fans who are ready to jump into Tears of the Kingdom. So like, it's one of those, like, it'll stick with me for a long time, and it'll always be with me. So that's my first one, breaking into this like last category, is Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. Kind of a 2-for-1, but it is what it is. It'd feel weird to do one without the other.
Yeah, I didn't have those ones written down as some of mine, but like thinking about it, it's like, no, those are actually ridiculously impactful, because like my first YouTube video that I made was a Zelda lore theory, trying to like take every game that takes place in Hyrule and all of their like weird, disparate, diverse, different maps and try and see if they can fit together and how they fit together. And that was like after Breath of the Wild had come out, but I released the video right before Tears of the Kingdom came out, because I was like, if I'm gonna get this done before if I'm gonna get this out there and finished, I want to do it before the next game. And so I release it, and then I stream playing through Tears of the Kingdom. I am more mixed on it. It's very good, and I recognize all the ways it's an upgrade over Breath, but also there's some things that I don't think work quite as well. But that then my Zelda map theory video blows up. And I'm just in awe of, like, suddenly over the course of a single week I can monetize my channel, and I cannot comprehend, like, how does that work. But pretty quickly, like, things start showing up in the lore of Tears of the Kingdom where I'm like, that throws a funny wrench into my theory. So I make a follow-up that's like adding Tears of the Kingdom to the lore and the theory. And that's what really, that's the only reason I can still make content. It's because those videos blew up about those games, which are both great. Zelda Breath of the Wild's a top 5, and Tears of the Kingdom's a definite top 10. Like, love them both. Good stuff. And yeah, I kind of owe my current YouTube and streaming career to Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, and the hype those games generated.
That's fair.
So kind of just piggybacking off of yours, but
yeah. How many games do you have left on your list?
I have like a couple. I don't have to do all of mine because they're kind of all similar games as art points that are like this game. They all kind of impacted me similarly. So if you want to move on to your next one, now that I've said my piece about Breath and Tears, we could do that.
Okay.
Because it seems like they kind of hit you at similar times and are.
Yeah. My second to last one came first, technically. Tears of the Kingdom was last. This one would have been first, and that is a game I never would have thought would be here. And honestly, I wasn't a super big fan of the franchise in general. And that is Xenoblade Chronicles 3. I had played the first one, wasn't a super big fan, kind of rushed through the story just because 3 was coming out, and I was like, oh, okay, I need something to hold me over till Tears of the Kingdom comes out, so I'll get Xenoblade 3. And then I don't know, man, I jumped into that game, and I started playing it, and I was hooked. Like, I got pulled into that game in a way that I just have not been pulled into a game before, and the themes of that game specifically, and what makes it relate more to me, is the themes of that game are all about loss and moving forward and still, like, not getting caught up in the past while also still honoring the past. And for me, that hit different because I think this game came out in July. About a month before the game came out, one of my really close friends passed away. So I was still going through and dealing with all of that while then playing this game that is following these characters who also have a close friend who passed away before the events of the main story. So they're having to process through that and move through that. So it was one of those, like, right place, right time, like, in a way that I can only say God can work in and align, like, because it just, like, it was, like, uncanny, the parallels that were there. And even aside from that, it is an incredible game with good music, good storytelling, great characters. Like, I have so many reasons to love this game even outside of that, but that's the reason it stuck with me so much in the past, what would that be, 4 years now? And it is my favorite Xenoblade game. I also recommend it, like, if someone wants to get into Xenoblade, 3 is a very easy one to start with, because I feel like it has the most intuitive controls. The story is not as complex as some of the other ones. But yeah, no, that's it. Xenoblade 3. I love that game to death. It is my number 2 in my top 10 games of all time. So, which is crazy because I never thought a Xenoblade game would jump that high up, but alas, here we are.
Yeah, I've never gotten into the Xenoblade series. I played a little bit of Xenoblade Chronicles 1 on the Switch because my friend had handed me the controller in the intro sequence, and I kind of bounced off the gameplay really hard. I just, like, something about the auto attacks just gives me ew, and maybe that's me being petty and unfair, but, like, I I don't feel compelled enough to invest in it when I've got a different backlog. I've heard they're very good, and I respect them, and I think they're very. And I've seen you, Xeno, posting around, but no, but like that is the kind of the funny thing. Like you never know where God's gonna work in your life, and sometimes it's this story happens at this time in your life, and you resonate with it in this way, and it gives you perspective and clarity. It's crazy. My next one I'm gonna bring up is also kind of a twofer, but you put them together and they're barely 10 hours anyway. It's Portal and Portal 2.
Ooh,
Those two games, humanity in its flawed, fallen state cannot attain perfection on Earth. That's kind of just a fact. Portal and Portal 2 come close. They're darn near perfect games. They are they're simple, they're short, but they're direct and to the point, and like they waste very little time. And just how the story unfolds as you play through these levels, like it's a linear set of levels with a narrator voice guiding you through it, and they use that format to tell you a story. Like you've got this bright and cheerful robotic voice that's, hello, welcome to the Aperture Science Enrichment Center, grab your portal gun and we'll begin the testing. But like you begin to see the cracks in the flawless, pristine white like clinical walls, and you get like little hints of the history of what happened before, and you get just like, you know the meme, the cake is a lie, right? Its storytelling is darn near unparalleled, because the story itself super simple. You're a lab rat in a maze, and you try and break out of the evil AI's control. But just the execution it lets the player connect the dots. Like the best like horror you can have in a horror story is not the stuff explicitly shown on screen. It's the hints that when you put them together, the person engaging with the media comes to the horrific realization, and they discuss themselves with the conclusion they come to. And similarly, Portal leaves the breadcrumbs for you to pick up, and when you put the breadcrumbs together, you've got a whole trail that's like, oh, there's a tragedy that happened here. And then Portal 2, it's just Portal 1, but 4 times more. 4 times the levels, 4 times the mechanics, 4 times the snarky voices coming over the radio. They have Stephen Merchant and J.K. Simmons in as 2 of the best characters in the series of 5 named characters. And the puzzles are fun and intuitive. Like, it's Valve, it's the Source engine. It's great physics puzzles. It's if the Portal and Portal 2 are kind of like the perfect games to say, if you haven't played many games or don't know what games are all about and how games can uniquely be artistic storytelling, as long as you don't get motion sickness, and there's even like accommodations for that a little bit, Portal 1 is short, it's to the point, but it's so tightly designed and tightly written. And Portal 2 is just more if you want more. Like, I cannot recommend those 2 games enough. They are some of the best games ever made, in my opinion.
That's good. I have Portal 1 and 2 on Switch. I got them on the eShop. I think they were running I think it was like a $5 sale for the bundle, and I had like $4 in gold points, so I got it for like $1. And they've just been sitting there. But one of my friends is like, I need you to stream playing Portal on Discord. If you're not going to stream it like on YouTube or whatever, just get on Discord. I need to watch you play this game, because I don't think you would like it, but I really want to watch you play it. And I was like, okay, fine. So it's one of those, I'll get around to it eventually. When I have, whenever I find an abundance of free time. But I have heard they're really good in terms of like just puzzles and like what they are as games. I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued enough to try it. And it's one of those, like, if I like Portal 1, I'll play Portal 2. If I don't, it is what it is.
And one of the best parts is you don't need an abundance of free time. Again, the first game you can beat in like 2 hours if you're not horrible at it. And the second one is maybe 8 hours tops. You could beat them all in an afternoon if you've played them once before.
Wow.
So they're really low commitment.
Well, that's good to know.
Yeah.
I didn't know they were that short. I would have assumed they were longer because of how like well renowned they are. But you know, I appreciate a game that can get you in and out and give you a good experience and not feel like a slog fest.
They're just as long as they need to be.
Yeah, I feel like there's a plague of modern games that are like, well, we need to give you a 80 to 90 to 100 hour experience for it to be worth your money. And I'm like, that's not entirely true. Like, I don't know. I depending on the quality of the experience, I don't think the price, like the time matters that much. If it's a really good experience you can pack into 8 hours, great. That's the goal. But then they're also like, you know, I'm not opposed to playing longer games as well. Like Xenoblade 3, I think I put like 150 hours into that game. But that's because the quality and the density of the game warranted that kind of time. Not every game warrants that kind of time. And I think sometimes companies try to inflate that. And they try to inflate like the time spent and they kind of drag it out. And they're like, well, you know, we need to really just lead you on to get to that 15-hour mark so that you feel like it's like a good quality time investment. But I don't think that's necessarily true.
Yeah, it's like I would rather play a 5-hour game that I can replay 10 times than play a 100-hour game that it was okay.
Yeah, 100%. I 100% agree with that.
We are going a little long, just kind of rambling here, but do you have another one you wanted to clean up there?
Yes, I have one more. My last one, which is another one I didn't think would be here. So my last one that I will get out of the way here is Doki Doki Literature Club, which every time I bring that game up, everyone looks at me a little funky. They look at me a little strange. Like, what are you talking? Like, what? What, weirdo? And I'm like, no, you got to hear me out. Like, kind of, this game resonated with me for a lot of the same reasons Xenoblade 3 did, because it was kind of a right place, right time, like, type beat. And also, I think where I was at, like, in my own personal, like, dating relationship was impacted by this game of, like, hey, sometimes people look like they're nice and they're doing things for you, but they're actually really toxic and you need to not be in that. So that kind of, like, opened my eyes to that and did a pivot. But I also, kind of what you were saying earlier about Metroid Prime 3, it's a game that every time I replay it, I find something new. There's something so intentional about the game design and the way they've crafted these little Easter eggs and all of these different things that just, like, enhance your experience every single time. Like, from music being slightly off in a different key in the second half of the game as opposed to the first half, or, like, sprites looking slightly different, or little glitches and stuff. Like, there's just so many different intentional details about this game that I love. And I love the characters. I think it's so easy to get attached to these characters in such a short amount of time. Talk about a game that respects your time. I think Doki Doki is 8-hour game, but I think that's including, like, the side stories and stuff in the plus version. So, like, even the main game I think is like 5 or 6 hours. So it's still, like, an incredibly great, rich, dense, packed experience in a very short amount of time. Like, I do a playthrough every year because it's so short. Like, it doesn't require a huge time sink to get into it. So I do greatly appreciate that game, and I know it everyone looks at me funny and they're like, it's weird, but I'm like you said, this isn't about games that we think are, like, the greatest of all time, like the best, like this is the pinnacle of gaming. It's ones that impacted us. Like, it's games that we personally enjoy and resonate with, and this is just that game for me. Like, it's one I can never get enough of it, and, like, I don't know. It's just stuck with me in a way that I didn't think it would, because I don't like visual novels. I don't really like games that fall in the horror genre, or I do jump scares or anything like that. So it was kind of it subverted my expectations on what I wanted, and then like far exceeded them. So that's my last game is Doki Doki Literature Club. So that's how I will end my list.
I have two more games listed here because you said like between 5 and 10, but honestly, I already did a whole video talking about why I think Cave Story is excellent in its storytelling and character work. So I will let that hang there. The last one that was like I played this as a teenager and it really cemented like, oh yeah, games are a special and unique storytelling medium. Is BioShock, the first BioShock game. Because you just get dropped into this underwater city of rapture with these people that have these political ideals, and you see the way that their society has fallen apart. And yeah, it's a linear corridor shooter with some like RPG elements, and it does that pretty well. But like, I don't. It's not my favorite game ever because of the shooting. Because I'm not a shooters guy. I much prefer punching people. I play shooters. Every time I stream a shooter, it's funny. I always like kill most of the enemies by punching them. Or in BioShock, you can get like a superpower that makes you be able to shoot bees at people, and that's funny. But no, you've got this like just world and this sad environmental storytelling of like, oh, this is how these people died, or oh, this is what this person thinks, and this is the extreme, like, that it led them to. And the best part is a big major spoiler for the game, but on the radio you've got this this guy who goes by Atlas, who's all like, Ryan's ruined the city for us. Would you kindly go defeat that guy? So he's on your radio. He's like, oh, would you kindly go over here and do this? And you fight the guys and stuff. And it will put a marker on your map. And there's like a little arrow on your HUD that tells you where to go. Because it's a linear corridor shooter. And they want to keep you on track. But also, turns out, like, plot twist, the character you play as was brainwashed and conditioned to be a sleeper agent that would, like, activate when someone said the passphrase, would you kindly? And so you're just blindly following his orders. Because it's linear corridor shooter. And so there's like this whole philosophy like question of free will. What is free will? What is our nature as man? Are we the product of our circumstances, or can we have any kind of agency with that? And so it uses the fact that it's a linear corridor shooter to help deliver a philosophical discussion about like the themes it's going for. It's great. BioShock is good, man. The other two are good too. The whole trilogy is incredibly well made. The second one is very dad coded the way Pragmata is. So, but no, good stuff. That's my pitch for BioShock. I'm sorry I spoiled the ending for you, but it's good.
Hey guys, Editing Nick here. As we were recording the end of this podcast episode, we did run into a couple technical difficulties that kind of made the recording a little weird. So I will jump back to Broseph in a second for him to plug and let you guys know where you can find him. But as I promised at the beginning of the episode, I did want to read off some of the games that you guys submitted over on my Twitter account in the replies. And I just want to go over that because as we talked about this episode, it is very important to talk about the human and emotional connection that we have to these video games. And, I just want to showcase that and go over that because I did ask you guys to do it. So it would also be weird if I didn't. So I'll go over those real quick, do our member plug, and then we'll be out of here. But Retro Plaid Guy, famed member of the channel, thank you so much, gave a lot to say specifically about Super Paper Mario and The Legend of Zelda, The Wind Waker, and I did read all of that, I promise, but to summarize for you guys on the podcast, here is what he said. I love both of these games dearly, not just because of their story, but because they're both genuinely just very fun. They both have their rough spots, but I wouldn't be remiss if I went without recommending them to anyone. I 100% think everyone should play these games. That's great. I have heard great things about Super Paper Mario. One of my friends has been trying to get me to play it, so maybe I'll play it one of these days. Friend of the channel, Piercing Heaven, said Super Smash Brothers. Catholic Yusuke says Persona 4 and 5, as well as Dragon Quest 11. I think that's 11 is XI. I don't know the Roman numerals. Ian Schwabe, I think I said that right. I'm sorry if I butchered it. I I started with Super Mario Bros. And Sonic Adventure, and both taught me to think on my feet in a rewarding way. Games like Mario Kart and Smash Bros. Were major social/competitive games for me, and Sonic 2 taught me the dangers of gambling. Thank you, Casino Night Zone. It's very good. Sip of Marmalade said, may sound cliche, but playing Dark Souls 1 when I was a kid instilled in me a sense of perseverance that I've developed later for more serious things. And then we also have Kyla F. went on another long spiel that you guys can go over to my Twitter and read, but I will summarize here. It is all about Sonic, and I've read the whole thing. It's incredible. I'm glad that Sonic has been able to do that for you. It's not something that I've ever been able to get into, but I'm not everyone. So I'm glad that was there for you. And then last but not least, Scoop of Ice Cream says, I probably have 3 standouts: the Mario franchise for childhood, Lego games as a teenager, and Genshin Impact as an adult. Which is kind of how I broke mine up too, was childhood, teenager, and adult. So that's really cool. That's all that I got over on Twitter, and thank you guys for sending that in, and I will pass it over to Broseph real quick to do his little ending spiel and let you guys know where you can find him.
Well, neat. Well, thank you for having me on, Nick, and thank you for everybody who was watching. Again, I have been Broseph LaCasque, the Space Crusader VTuber guy on Twitch and YouTube. You can find me on YouTube, the Broseph LaCasque channel. It'll be linked in the description probably. I'm also on Twitch, streaming 2 days a week. I do videos on YouTube and stream on YouTube and Twitch. And then I'm also on Twitter, because I refuse to call it the other name, at Broseph VT, at Broseph VTuber. That'll be probably in the description too. So if you want to see me, see what random things I have to say, or keep up with my schedule. But aside from that, yeah, it's been great to be on the podcast, Nick. I'm sorry about the technical issues at the very end. Hopefully you can edit around them, but it's been just real great to be on here. Hope to be on in the future. So, love you, bye.
And once again, thank you, Broseph, for coming on. It was an incredible conversation. It was a great time here on the podcast. We'll definitely have him back on. Let me know what you guys thought in the comments down below. Tell us the games that impacted you, the stories that have impacted you. I would love to hear more about them in the comments. As always, you can find us right here on YouTube at the Nerdiest Podcast. You can follow us with all the links in the description. You can go down to our link tree and find our Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, all of the different things, all the different ways to follow us. If you're on YouTube, please subscribe, like, share it with people who you think would enjoy it. That is the best way for us to grow, by your word of mouth. If you're watching on the audio version, you can leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts as well as Spotify. That is another great way for us to grow. Jackson should be back next episode. Don't worry, guys. We'll be going back to kind of our regularly scheduled programming, but as what seems to be a yearly occurrence this time around are, 2 episodes where I get to have some incredible guests on, and that's been great. So you can also check out the YouTube memberships down below. Only $5 a month. You get a very brand exclusive show for you. A brand new episode every month. That's what I meant to say. And thank you to Retro Plaid Guy for being a YouTube member and enjoying all of the content that we make. So I will see you guys in the next episode. But until then, peace out.